I just wanted to play
Welcome to Detecting Intelligence, the only show that treats AI like a crime scene. We bag the evidence, dust the hype for fingerprints, and interrogate the breakthroughs. Then we ask the only question that matters. Are we closer to AGI? Let's find out. Here are your hosts, Frank and Ronnie.
Mr. Ronnie, good to see you this morning. Oh, but I can't hear you.
Got it.
There we go.
I was pausing for the music, or the intro rather. GM, I'm doing well, my friend. How are you?
Doing very well, man. It's nice. No snow this morning either. The sun's out, so it's good.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah. Samesies. But GM, everyone, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Detecting Intelligence. Yeah, so it's Thursday, February 26th. Yeah, it's nice out. What are we talking about today, Frank?
Well, lots of news actually came out yesterday throughout the day. I think one of the biggest topics that everyone's talking about right now is this Perplexity Computer. So I'm super excited to kind of dig into that a little bit, talk about like what it actually means, and maybe share some opinions and thoughts.
Yeah, so real quick, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, we got to do an intro. So I'm Ronnie, I'm your co-host, and I'm joined by my other co-host, Frank Zuring from Canada. I hail out in New York City, and this is Detecting Intelligence. It's a daily live show that Frank and I are going to be doing for a bit, for the foreseeable future, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern to about 9:30, 9:45-ish. Because we have other things to do, as do you. So we want to keep this short and sweet and provide you with as much value as possible. And yeah, so that's our aim. We just kind of want to educate you on all things AI, AGI, ASI, technology, science, and what other random cool crap Frank and I can find on the internet. Does that just about sum us up here?
I think you did it well, man. Yeah, that's a great way to explain it.
All right, cool. Then for a second, while I get the Perplexity a tab open here. But what was, before we get this going, what was one or your initial impression of Perplexity Computer yesterday? Just so before we.
Yeah, I mean, it's the usual hype, right, that we see online when a new feature gets released by one of these platforms. It's this is going to kill all this business, or OpenClaw is dead now because Perplexity has released Computer. I think this is a lot of engagement farming, which we see all the time on these social media platforms. But there's some real differences, in my opinion, between Perplexity Computer and OpenClaw, especially. I think there's two camps, right? We've got those people that are building on platforms. So we've got like the Claude Code, we've got Perplexity Computer now, Codex, and then you've got the others that are building on our own local devices. And really, at this point, I think you just need to decide what camp are you in. I don't believe there's any right or wrong choice there. It really all depends, on what your application is with AI and what you're going to be using it for. If you're in business, I'm OpenClaw still 100%.
Yeah.
I think, a lot of these platforms are getting so much information from us, so much data from us, and especially business data, which is highly valuable. Own that. Don't give that away, and build with OpenClaw. That's my opinion.
Okay, and even and it's ballsy of you to say that you're still OpenClaw for your business, because there's as much excitement as there is around OpenClaw, there's just as much concern about the security and privacy of the whole thing. But we've if you watched our previous shows, we've I've definitely alerted you of that fact. So if you are going to tick around with OpenClaw, do it. Just be careful, and don't be quick with, giving it too much access into your life/digital life there.
And that's an interesting point, because I've heard that a lot about security concerns. And I think with all this technology, you need to take baby steps, right? Like, you don't want to just hand it everything and then feel confident that you're protected and that it's going to do amazing things for your business. You got to take reasonable steps here to make sure things are working, and you should do that with all technology. Like, really, even with Perplexity here, don't run out and give it all of your business data because it's a platform and it's more secure. But I haven't really actually seen an example of a business or someone's OpenClaw getting fully corrupted. I've heard stories,
right?
But I haven't actually seen somebody's OpenClaw doing some real damage.
It could be a conspiracy, and also maybe people are just I mean, I know I would be embarrassed to come out and say oh yeah, I'm a techie, but I gave it kind of root access, and it deleted and transferred all my crypto and all that stuff. If something like that actually happened, I don't want to share that with anybody. But again, it could be just a conspiracy, and maybe it's just these bots that are just putting these fabricating these stories and putting them out on the timeline to scare people. I mean, who knows? It could be competitors putting this stuff out.
I mean, you never know, right?
You never know. You never know. But anywho, so really quick, I just want to explain my background here. We're in church right now, folks. We're in the Church of AI, so that explains the background. All right, so let's go. So let me just read this off here, and I'm going to play the video. So, introducing Perplexity Computer. Computer unifies every current AI capability into one system. It can research, design, code, deploy, and manage any project end to end. I know most of you can read. This is just for people that are listening back. Let's play the video. They nailed it with the music.
On cloud. Cloud is very undifferentiated. Models are more differentiated in cloud.
Too bad there's not an explainer here for those that are wondering why we're just sitting with some music. You have to be watching the video here, just listening to us.
That's true. I didn't realize. Yeah, I forgot that this video didn't have any
No, all good.
any audio there.
That's a great video, though. Maybe we can even share a link, to that video here in the chat. If you,
We'll include that.
So, just some quick thoughts here on this. A very polished video. Obviously, it's coming from a company with significant marketing dollars.
Whoever put this out, first of all, did you really have to stick in Aiden Ross in there? Not a fan of that. You lost points. Again, I don't hate the kid or anything like that. He's just a little bit of a douche, but
maybe maybe they've done their research and that guy lands with a lot of people.
Do better research. Anyway, sorry, Frank.
No, so look, I was just going to say, I think it's a good approach for Perplexity to take. There's a real opportunity right now with all the attention OpenClaw is getting to directly have an offering. One of the biggest trip ups right now for a lot of people is the installation process, right? It's complicated. And it's not too bad on a Mac. The Mac system is, in my opinion, far easier to get an OpenClaw running on. Windows, man, I was with somebody for 3 hours and we were just met with wall after wall after wall of things we had to do to get it up and going. So I think that's probably one of the strongest plays here with Perplexity is they're giving people close to OpenClaw capabilities with this model switching done for you. So you don't even need to worry about setting up hardware or buying hardware. But again, I'll ask, like, what is your long-term play here? Like, if you're just using this for personal use and you're wanting to use multiple models and not have to pay for a bunch of subscriptions, it's great. But if you're serious about developing with AI, building tools for your business, especially owning your data, like, this is a topic that I've been preaching about for about 3 to 4 years. I think now it's more important than ever that we control our own data. You can do all of this with OpenClaw. You can actually do more with OpenClaw. This talks about 19 models that you have access to. With OpenClaw, you can connect it to OpenRouter and have access to over 200 models, and you can switch them at any time. So, I mean, it really all depends on how invested you are in building an AI that you're using on a daily basis. Again, if you are just looking for a quick win that you can use some of the best models to do some work in a single day or even for personal use, this is a great option. But if you're there for the long play, I'd still say OpenClaw is the solution to go after.
Yeah, this is really fascinating. I think really, and this is the case for a lot of people, including myself, because this right now, this is kind of trying to catch up to what OpenClaw is capable of right now. And what the advantage that this has is that it's just pretty much packaged under or within a beautiful UI or a really nice UI.
Nice wrapper, as they say.
Pardon?
It's a nice wrapper, as they say.
It's a nice wrapper. Yeah, it's a really nice wrapper. They nailed it with the music. They effed it up with Adrian Ross. But so I think, and that's why it was genius that Sam Altman went and poached, so to speak. I don't even think he necessarily poached. What is it, Peter Steinberger? Yeah. So like I was gonna say, just even for myself, like opening up Terminal, or I just remember like back in the day, like just messing around with DOS prompts and stuff, like that kind of stuff scared me because I was kind of aware, like, oh, if I type the wrong thing, like it could crash my system. I'll get the blue screen of death. For those people, and I think a lot of people that are listening to this right now maybe don't know what that is. But yeah, I'd be afraid. So I'd never ever touch the thing. That's one of the things that always scared me about coding. I was like, no, that stuff is scary, man. Like, you have to know what you're doing there. But if and when, and I'm sure they're pretty close to baking in a lot of the OpenClaw capabilities into ChatGPT. And I really just wonder when we're going to see a lot of those features ready and just again, just baked in. I don't know if they're going to, I don't think it makes sense for them to create like a separate app or anything like that. I think they might be going to the drawing board and starting from scratch and trying to figure out the best way to build OpenClaw natively into ChatGPT app. At least that's what I would attempt to do with my limited capabilities and experience with building stuff or anything like that. So they're probably they probably have their eyes on a different goalpost whatsoever, and it's something way beyond that, something we're not even thinking about.
100%. Yeah.
And I hope that's the case because I'm not that smart. So if I already came up with the smartest possible outcome for this thing, then yeah, maybe Sam Altman does need to be replaced by an AI or something. But anyway, yeah, let me stop there.
No, I mean, I think it's it's interesting for OpenAI to be able to scoop up Peter from OpenClaw. It's also funny that OpenClaw got renamed to OpenClaw just prior to being acquired by OpenAI. But the one thing that it seems to be coming out now is that Anthropic. And not to make the show all about OpenClaw, but I just really love OpenClaw. Anthropic is shutting the door on this OAuth usage, but OpenAI is actually encouraging people to do OAuth usage on their plans. So I don't know. It's still a big debate. But you know what? Just as we were talking, I've been speaking with my OpenClaw, and I asked it just to make a funny argument into regards to why OpenClaw could be better than Perplexity. I haven't even listened to this, but I'm thinking, why don't I play it? And we can see what it sounds like here on the show.
Let me stop this first of all.
All right. Hopefully it doesn't embarrass me.
Okay, so hear me out. Perplexity, computer just dropped and everyone's losing their minds. And I'm sitting here like, bro, we've been doing this. Computer is giving main character energy for sure. I'm not going to capitulate. Orchestrating 19 models is low-key fire, but like, it's literally just vibes. You give it a task, it does the task, and then it ghosts you. No memory, no context, doesn't know your name, doesn't know you hate avocado. It's giving situationship energy for FR OpenClaw. OpenClaw is the wife, okay?
Okay.
OpenClaw wakes up, reads its soul file, checks on your business, remembers that conversation you had 3 weeks ago about your meal prep, sends you a voice note at 8 a.m., and has your newsletter ready before you even open your eyes.
Sometimes.
That's not a tool. That's a partner. That's ride or die behavior. And like, Computer runs on Perplexity servers. So you're basically sending all your business data to some company in San Francisco and being like, yeah, no, this is fine. Process my entire life, please. That's giving unhinged. That's giving I post my boarding pass on Instagram energy. No cap. OpenClaw runs on your Mac Mini in your house. Your data stays in your crib. It's giving privacy. It's giving sovereignty. It's giving, I read the terms of service energy, which honestly, iconic behavior. And the model thing, like, oh wow, Computer uses 19 models, bestie. OpenClaw has OpenRouter. That's literally 200 plus models. We don't just have the models, we have all the models. We're not even playing the same game. They brought a knife to a gunfight and we showed up with the whole military. Plus, and this is the part that sends me, Computer costs money per month on Perplexity's Max plan, and you don't own anything. OpenClaw, you own the whole stack. The code is open source. You can fork it, you can modify it, you can make it speak in Gen Z slang if you want. Oh wait, we literally just did that. So like, in conclusion, Computer is the rental, OpenClaw is the mortgage. Computer is the talking stage, OpenClaw is the ring. Computer is mid, OpenClaw is the play. No cap. Period. Slay. I will not be taking questions at this time. Thank you.
That was a long voicemail.
That was a long one. I was like, Frank, you sure you didn't pick one that's too long here? No, that was quite sassy. I like the substance, and yeah, you notice they messed up a couple of words, but again, that'll just it'll get to a point where it just doesn't do that at all anymore ever.
Yeah.
That's the interesting part. We're like, oh, remember when AI used to mess up pronunciations and words, and now it just doesn't do that ever.
Although I'm a little curious why it called it my wife.
Right?
Maybe I have some explaining to do to my actual wife.
Yeah, maybe. But no, that's great, dude. And yeah, I can totally see. I'm not doing that for myself yet, but I could totally see people doing that for just based on whatever topic or anything that they're interested in.
Yep. I mean, it's a different way to engage with information, right? It makes it more entertaining. Gary V, which I know we're going to be talking about here in a moment as well, was a big fan of, these home speakers in 2016 when they first started kind of coming out. And he, I think, was ahead of his time in saying that voice search is the future because we can, talk faster than we can type.
Right.
And typically anything that saves time or money, is what wins the game.
Right.
So now we're in this different era where now you can talk and code at the same time. So it's just, I think where we're headed with these agents, with these builds, adding voice back and forth. I know one of my good friends and also someone I've worked with in the past is chatting with as he's driving and has a conversation set up that they can just have dialogue while he's doing other things and build things. And I think there was even a news article, which I would love to find, where there was a guy running a marathon that as he ran a marathon, he was talking to his OpenClaw and built an app as he was running. And just think about the productivity.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's insane.
It is. Wow. All right. Last bit of news on about Anthropic, and mostly because it came out yesterday. Let's just open this up a little bit more here. Oh, we're gone. Where did we go? Anywho, so Anthropic acquired Vercept to advance Claude's computer use capabilities. I've never heard of Vercept, but but yeah, so this just happened, and to your point, yeah, it looks like the game is to just be it's just to be your mission control, for your life. I think
Yep.
that's the game right now. I don't think necessarily any one company is going to be able to take all of that market share, but I think the game right now is, and obviously, and it has been for as long as we've been alive, but is to acquire as much market share of that as possible. And this is what people are doing right now. They just want to be the thing that you rely on to organize your life, to buy whatever it is that you need, and to also, I guess, be like the captain or the coach of your life, to a point where it's going to be proactive and start suggesting things for you based on history and what have you. And that's just kind of like wrapping all this stuff up in one little ball here. This is just another move in that direction by Anthropic.
Well, and I think the thing that's interesting with this is that it's another play to have a tool that can operate your computer for you, right? And I think this is an interesting thing. And from what I understand with Versep, that's one of their main components, which I think is why Anthropic was so interested in acquiring them, is the operator type function that their software enables these AIs to have access to on a computer. But at the end of the day, it's still no matter who you are, if you're a real person or if you're a bot using a computer, you're going to be hit with these prove you're human walls. So I mean, the whole internet landscape is going to have to change because they're going to have to be okay with essentially, bots having permission to access sites. Right now, Google is fighting that like crazy. And I know one of the announcements that Google had, I believe it was not yesterday, the day before, was that they were blocking OpenClaw because it was skirting, the do not, the permission files for do not scrape or do not read this website. But like at the end of the day, like that's just, in my opinion, these walled gardens trying to hold on to their power. Like this is going to change. And I can't say it enough. I mean, you have to build your own tool, I believe. Like this is the only way we're going to get away from where we are today with, 6 major tech companies owning the space, owning our interactions, owning our social. We need to start building our own tools. And I'm seeing the early stages of it with, clients building their own software, with people building their own AI, really that data ownership. If we're not having this conversation now, then we're just going to get right back into the same trap. And unfortunately, this next trap is probably going to be even bigger than the one we're in right now.
I wanted to jump in earlier when you were asking after we watched the Perplexity. That's a tough word to say. But about what the long game is here. I'm like, dude, like we can't ask what the long game is here because what's the long game window? Is it 3 months? That's because you can't go further than that, or can you? Is it 2 months? Is it less than that? Like, what's the point of trying to figure out what the long game is? Because so much can change at the drop of a commit GitHub button push or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's and just me just thinking about I don't know what the long game here is obviously to make as much money as possible before we before we self-annihilate. But I don't know. I don't know if it makes any sense to look too far down the road because everything is just so unpredictable.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, like the space is changing quickly. But at the end of the day, I think the decision that's not going to change is, do you want to build on another company's software or do you want to build on your own software, right? I think that's the decision everyone has right now. And the earlier you make that decision, the better off you'll be, especially if you choose the open source route, in my opinion. I was building fiber optics for the dial-up internet in the 90s, was helping businesses adopt social media in the early 2000s, was building mobile apps in the 2010s. I've seen a lot of tech. And it's the same game, right? It's just always something new. But what doesn't change is like how you handle the data you're creating every day and what you give permission to.
So I have, so I'm using, I was a big Chrome. I mean, I'm a Mac user, so I have to use Safari sometimes when I'm browsing. I switched over to Google Chrome for a bit. I was on there for a long time, and then OpenAI came out with Atlas, and then I moved to that. So with all that said, I have with the window that I'm showing up here on screen, I have the little ChatGPT sidebar, and I just asked it like, "Hey, is this like kind of like in response? Is this Anthropic's response to OpenAI? Taking Peter Steinberger and OpenClaw?" And it said, "No, not really. This is more." And here it goes: AI labs are racing to control the keyboard layer. Whoever owns the model that can operate software becomes the interface to everything. That's the real chessboard here.
100%.
100%.
I mean, if you can have somebody tap into a computer and use it at any time, like that's
right, with no technical background, no technical savvy, zero technical savvy, just talk to it.
Yeah. It's you talk about search, right? And I think that's one conversation that's been beaten to death here over the last few years is, being aware of, the data you're sharing with browsers on social media, even for that matter. What I'm excited about and what I think is the natural progression here is that we're going to just have our own agents that are doing that for us. And they'll be able to, create a filter for us with these algorithms that we're all, being kind of persuaded into different silos from. And this is just my belief, because if you look at even the way we search the internet, and I feel like I've mentioned this before, if not here, definitely somewhere else, but the way we look at the internet today is like insane, that we're like putting in a keyword and then we're being presented with thousands of web links and we're visually just trying to kind of decide which one is the right one to click on, right? Like that process, in my opinion, is going to go away. Like, why would you manually click on a website, read it, see if it's relevant or not, and then go to another website? What you're going to do now, and which Google has already been monopolizing on, is that people are lazy. They're only going to go to the first couple of clicks. That's why everyone wants to be on the first page of Google.
Mm-hmm.
But now, like even with Perplexity, they've got a great model. You're able to search like 100 websites in one shot and get all the information, right? So the only thing we're not getting right now, which I hope we do get, but I'm not confident we will, is transparency on how these decisions are being made. Like when you ask ChatGPT to give you a recommendation of a service, how is it coming up with that? We don't know, right? And it's the same game with SEO. Google claimed we can't let that secret out because then everyone's going to game it, which I can appreciate. But in my opinion, that's just a deflect, because unless you understand why it's giving you that suggestion, then it's up, it could be completely manipulated. And they've said Google ads don't influence their ranking. I doubt that. I've been in marketing for years. I've seen, websites increase their position based off of having paid ads. So I don't know, man. It's an interesting time. I could go on a rant here for a while, but for the sake of today, I'm not going to go too deep.
Yeah, it's an interesting time, and then and then factor in quantum computing and how that's going to affect encryption. And we're seeing already some really scary stories out there of these machines and people just cracking these systems with the technology that we have now. So just imagine when they get access to compute that's crazy powerful, godlike powerful.
Well, when we get
does anything
AGI,
matter at that point anymore?
When we get AGI, if it's owned by a major tech company, which there's a good chance that it will be, it's going to have pre-training, right? Previews. And I don't know, man, that's what scares me a little bit, is if you end up, let's say Google achieves AGI and now they've got this AGI, but it's working in their favor. Well, then that's just a superhuman employee of a company as opposed to a benefit for all of mankind, right? So Not
I
at all.
wanted I was doom scrolling yesterday on the old socials, and I came across a little factoid, and it was an interesting perspective. It was like what 2026 is to 1990 is what 1990 is to 1950. Like
Yeah, that's
that
crazy.
is, yeah, that's like, I'm like, oh man, why'd they do that? Like wow, yeah. I mean, I didn't grow up in the 50s, even though no, I don't look like it. Just my hair, my gray hairs maybe might indicate that. But yeah, no, I wasn't born in the 50s or 60s, obviously. And but just knowing of the times that I was like, wow, that was even when I was alive in the 1990s. Like, yeah, that was a completely different world that
Yeah.
no longer existed. And having been 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and maybe a few more in the 90s. So I have a really solid grasp of what the world looked like back then. And then for it to tell me like, oh yeah, that world that you grew up in, where you were a teenager in, is dead. And I'm like, oh man, yeah, you're right.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. We got one more thing here real quick. But before we get into that, Frank, let's address the title of the episode today. How close are we really to AGI? So with what we talked about today, I know we were in our previous format, we were kind of do this on Fridays, but maybe now we just do this every day. Yeah. As far as what we talked about today, and then you could talk about maybe other advancements that happened in the last 24 hours. But are we closer to AGI, in your opinion?
So why don't I share my screen here, and we'll give just a very quick tease as to what we're working on. And I think this will help answer that question. Let me see if I can bring this on stage here.
And then we'll wrap up with the last story real quick if we got time.
Yeah,
we got 10 minutes.
Yeah,
less than that, but yeah.
So this is just for those that are watching, a little bit of a preview to what our newsletter is going to look like. And this is yesterday's version, so please excuse that. But we're going to calculate an IQ score for where AI is currently, and based off of the calculations and how this calculation is being created is looking at all of the top performing models. And let me scroll a little bit here so you can see that. So we look at all of the top performing models. Don't mind this break here. Again, this is still a work in progress. And where we're at with the level of intelligence that they have, which is this score here. And then looking at collectively, what we're able to achieve. And then that spins out this kind of measure, which is tracking directly against the AI 2027 timeline, which for those that maybe aren't familiar, check out that website. It's a hypothetical scenario of when AGI will be achieved, and 2027 is the day, or the moment, I should say, that happens. So based off of these scores and what models are ranking, it assigns, first, how close are we to that timeline, and then determines how close are we to achieving AGI. So the calculation here is we're only not even 20% of the way there yet. So we still got quite a long way to go. And then some quick little notes here are that while nothing's earth shaking today, AI can handle low average tasks and simple tasks and falter with nuances, which I think is very evident even with the voice memo we just created here on the fly. There's still some funny little things, but as we talked about the other day with Meta's investment in this AMD partnership, this is going to help move us forward with more processing power. And then with OpenAI's coding developments with Spark and being able to code 15 times faster than the best model. These are all elements that are kind of getting us closer. So we're going to be sharing these hopefully next week if we can get them pumping out properly here. But it's a calculation on some factors here, which we'll share in the newsletter, that is going to assign this IQ score and where we're at, and hopefully give everybody a little bit more of an insight as to how pressing this is.
I like it. I love it. I think it's going to be fun. Because I wake up, every day I wake up and I look at my watch and it tells me what my sleep score is. And I want to wake up every day and know what the AGI score is now. So,
there you go.
But yeah, I like this. And yeah, it's a work in progress, folks. We're going to make this a little bit more visually pleasing. But for the most part, I think we're maybe like 75% there, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good stuff. So that's cool. Yeah, head to detectingintelligence.com and sign up for the newsletter and take a gander at all the other stuff we got up listed on the site. Last story, and we'll try to go through this one really quick, and it kind of ties into AI. I think Frank and I talked about this for a second before we started the show, and yeah, Gary Vaynerchuk, friend of the show. He put out this article, I think, yesterday, a couple of days ago. Maybe it was probably yesterday, and I just wanted to get the date for you guys. Yeah, yesterday. So the era of the individual empire is here, and yeah, there is I don't know how long this saying has been going around, but it's in the last couple of months that yeah, with all the advancements that have been occurring in AI, it's people are starting to kind of hint that we might see the first one-person business billion-dollar company. And I don't think that's a reach. I don't think that's far-fetched at all. I think it's very likely, very possible. And it's just going to take a matter of time and a crap ton of luck, possibly two. But I definitely think that we are in our lifetimes, and maybe within the next couple of years, we're going to see one person go from zero to a billion-dollar company with close to zero staff.
I agree. I think we're going to.
I haven't read this article. We haven't neither one of you have neither one of us have read it. Sorry, but we're just kind of zooming out a little bit, and I think this is kind of possibly where Gary's going in the article. But yeah, I definitely read it. We'll have a link in the description there. Take a look at it. Hopefully, it inspires you to start messing around with the stuff that we're all talking about here. But sorry, Frank, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we talked about already this week. People are replacing their software services with custom built solutions, right? And if we look at that move already, that's going to change the landscape entirely. And then the moment you start creating your own software, which people already are, it's just a matter of time before other people become interested in what you have to offer. And maybe, I don't think to the same extent of where we're seeing platforms today where they have mass adoption of these platforms, but if you look at what some of the influencers in the space are doing with AI right now, they're able to go from idea to product within a couple of hours, especially when it comes to digital product creation. And this allows you to test your thesis much faster and try to get from 0 to 1 with sales, right? So those that are making a big investment in having AI run jobs for them, build products for them, I'm confident we're going to see somebody just knock it out of the park. And alone, just with some of these platforms that they're using for bringing people together, which I think might be a while before we see something custom built for that. The amount of earnings that some of these people are making is just phenomenal right now. Hundreds of thousands of dollars monthly, just getting people together talking about AI. So,
it's funny. I was just skimming through this as you were talking, and I don't even know if Gary mentions AI once in this article, but AI is definitely part of this story here. But Gary's is coming more from it from a content angle, and for Frank and I, who are on this new endeavor with content creation in this space, I think it's definitely worth a read for he and I, and even if we don't become a $1 billion content creation or whatever it is, I'm okay with being a 2-person multi-million-dollar company. I'm okay with that. Well, so I'm not greedy, but yeah, no, I agree with everything that you said, and these are just very it's just wild times, but I think it's why why you and I decided to kind of start this up, because there's a window of opportunity for this thing, and the window doesn't stay open for too long before things get saturated, and then it just comes down to how unique and different are you? And we're all different and unique in our own ways, but there's got to be some sort of factor that makes you different. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be super attractive or anything like that. You can have, possibly even a defect of yours could be the thing that makes you go famous or makes you most relatable. And I think for our purposes here, Frank, we're cognizant of it. But yeah, we should definitely try and make the things that we're talking about, and it's not possible for me anyway to talk too advanced about any of this stuff, but just making this content as relatable as possible to the average Joe. And I think you and I kind of shared that vision, at the beginning here. But yeah, dude. So wait, hold on. Wait, let me just. I'm not trying to make it a habit, but where is it? Where is it?
Oh, there we go. Well, I think we're about ready to wrap here as well.
We're about ready to wrap here.
Yep. And we got a new outro actually to show today. Hopefully we're queued up. We're ready for our outro video.
I think so. So just want to say thanks for watching. That was another episode. Thank you, Frank, for chatting with me today. Always a good time getting nerdy with you. And thank you for watching. And then all the stuff that we're supposed to say right about now, we're just gonna leave it up to the outro to do. But yeah, Frank,
we'll talk tomorrow.
We'll talk tomorrow. All right.
Bye for now.
Today's evidence is logged. The timeline has been updated, and the future remains under investigation. If you found this useful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss the next analysis. You can also drop your questions in the comments. We read them, we use them, we investigate them. And for deeper dives, join the newsletter at detectingintelligence.com. Thanks for watching. See you next time, friend.